Hello and welcome to the CIArb PolicyCast, the series where we discuss some of the most pressing issues in the world of ADR with some of the leading practitioners and experts in our field. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Camilla Godman. Camilla is our Director of Membership. She's been with the Institute for a number of years, was previously Director of the Asia Pacific region for the Institute, and is also a former Deputy Registrar at the Singapore International Arbitration Centre. Welcome, Camilla.
Hi, Lewis.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the value of policy and where the policy work that CIArb undertakes interacts with our member engagement and why it's really a value to the membership and an integral part of our member offering. So just to start on that, in that vein, Camilla, I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your thoughts on why policy matters to the membership and where it fits within our mission as an organisation.
So, thank you, Lewis. CIArb is a registered charity in the UK, and as it is established under a royal charter, we have a charitable objective, which is to promote and facilitate worldwide the determination of disputes by arbitration and other forms of alternative dispute resolution. So the determination of disputes outside the courts. So two of the ways which we deliver on this objective is through the worldwide promotion of the concept of ADR, so that it can be adopted as a genuine alternative to court litigation. And also we give advice upon improvements of the law to governments and other stakeholders who are developing and setting a framework for that ADR. So that's really the way that our policy work works to help those objectives.
Excellent. Thanks, Camilla. I think I'm also interested to hear about the link between that and how that enhances the value of CIArb membership. And I think this really gets to the heart of what CIArb membership is for. And what that status confers. So I wondered if you could just tell us a bit about why our policy engagement enhances the value of membership.
Thanks, Lewis. So I think many of the members aren't actually fully aware of the very important policy work that we do. But really, the work that we do and being a CIArb member demonstrates your alignment with the values and the objectives of the Institute. So that means that when you have the post-nominals after your name, you're demonstrating your commitment to providing access to justice and upholding the rule of law, not just in your jurisdiction, but throughout the world. As a member, you will know that ADR is a vital component of a well-functioning justice system. And our advice to governments and to other stakeholders around the world to promote the value of ADR over court litigation and influence public policy is on behalf of all of our members. We are the voice of ADR. We are your voice of ADR. And I think that gives users confidence, users throughout the world who are considering using ADR options rather than court litigation. When they hear about this work, it gives them some confidence. I think you have a good phrase about being at the heart of ADR. What was the phrase you had around that?
Yeah, certainly. I think it came to me the other week, but it's putting business at the heart of ADR and ADR at the heart of business. So that's really about putting the needs of end users at the heart of what we do and making sure that that's integral to how we operate as an institute and as a profession. And through that, trying to make sure that ADR mechanisms and the practice and principles that we espouse are put at the heart of commercial decision making and a key part of policy making as well, and that's considered. I think that's key to making sure that we aren't seen as a niche area, but we're seen as something that underpins prosperity and the rule of law right across the board. So I think that's a really good way of putting it that you gave in your answer there.
Yeah, around yours, yeah.
So I think we've given a good grounding there, I think, about why we carry out policy engagement and why that's seen as integral to our purpose as a membership body, that it isn't seen as an addendum as such. What I'd like to do now is to talk about some of the specifics of our work. So obviously we're quite wide-ranging in terms of what work we do and the governments and bodies that we do work with. I wondered if we could just cover a bit of that ground. You and I have worked very closely together on some of these projects. So I wondered if you could start off with some of your thoughts on that, and then maybe I will contribute as well. And specifically, if you could tell us about the work in Singapore and the APAC region, because I know that's the one that you're perhaps most familiar with.
Well, last year, on your initiative, you brought the UK ministers out to Singapore to look at why Singapore had risen so fast in the dispute resolution stakes and how it has grown so fast as a dispute resolution hub, which led in 2019 to it be the birthplace of the Singapore Convention on Mediation. So you brought two ministers out here, and that was really part of a bigger policy initiative looking at looking at what makes a truly good what makes a global dispute resolutions hub, what makes a safe place for that, and that came out of a set of principles around having a safe seat as well. And there are a lot of things about Singapore, in particular its stability, which make it a place where, again, users of ADR can have confidence. So that was a great trip that the ministers did, and they've come back now to the UK, and they're writing a report which we're going to launch in September. Other initiatives we've been doing out here is we've done some training for ASEAN judiciary. So we trained 2 judges from each of the 10 ASEAN countries on aspects of arbitration that affect the courts. And that is because in the smaller ASEAN countries outside the big centres, Hong Kong, KL, Singapore, they're less sure about how they should be approaching arbitration matters. So that was a very important piece of work, and we've gone on to do more training with them. We've also run our introduction training course, spreading the message about arbitration in some of the smaller APAC jurisdictions, Myanmar in particular, which involved a lot of government officials. So that also helped to spread the word and make sure that there was rule of law within the courts where they understand how arbitration works. We've also done that in Vietnam, and we're about to run some training in Brunei. We've done many submissions for Ministry of Law consultations in Singapore in particular. You also did a submission to the Indian government, and perhaps you just wanted to mention that.
Yes, certainly. So I think this is a good example of where our public interest mandate and the interests of our members are really synonymous. I think there's a danger of a false dichotomy there sometimes, and through initiatives like our work with the Indian government, it's a real demonstration of how that isn't the case. There's a real identity between those two objectives. Last year, India revised its Arbitration Act, and there was a lot within that we supported. We worked both with the Indian government and, in fact, the government here in the UK, who operated under a memorandum of understanding with respect to law and access to justice issues. Through those relationships, we were able to engage directly with the Indian Law Ministry. And in February this year, we were actually able to host a a roundtable in London with the Indian Law Secretary and other officials from both governments, where we discussed both some of the specifics of the Act itself regarding the freedom of movement for practitioners and their ability to operate in the jurisdiction, but also some of the wider questions around exactly what you'd been talking about before, what makes an effective disputes hub, and promoting some of the training and expertise that we can offer to capacity build in that area. So that is both, it's beneficial to the government of India, because it helps them fulfill one of their objectives to get themselves on the map. But it's also a benefit to our members, because it's we're highlighting their value as professionals and creating new avenues for them to operate. So that was a really interesting piece of work. Just to add as well to what you were describing there, we work with international bodies all of the time, particularly with the UN Commission on International Trade Law, where we have observer status, and our delegations there make really constructive and often forthright contributions to the deliberations. We don't have voting status, that's for the states only, but we have been able to make an impact through some of the interventions that we've made, particularly on the debate on investor-state dispute settlement, but increasingly also in the last year on the development of new rules for expedited arbitration. And I think that's a real example of an innovation in the sector that I know that you wanted to talk about today as well. So there's a real range of work going on there.
Yeah, it's great. And I'd also really encourage all of our members to get in touch, see how they can get involved in some of our policy work. And also if they have any suggestions for future work in their jurisdiction, problems that they're aware of within their government, access to justice around ADR, that we'd really welcome their views.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, I think what gives us influence and credibility is that weight of expertise from our members. Without that, it would just be a contribution that we're making off our own backs. It's really because we're able to draw on their practical expertise as practitioners that governments listen to us. So we're always eager to get that kind of involvement. I think just to move on to some of the wider work of the policy team, in addition to direct political engagement and policy engagement, we also obviously developed the practice guidelines. And I really wanted to hear from you on that, Camilla, both because as Director of Membership, I wanted you to give your thoughts on why they're valuable to the members, but also given your professional background, because as a practitioner yourself, you have used these. And so I think understand better than a lot of people exactly why they're valuable.
Yeah, I think possibly more importantly to some of the members than just this concept of aligning yourselves with CIArb's objectives on access to justice. Having a CIArb membership shows that you have been trained to the highest standards and that you practice within the best professionalism of our profession. So these guidelines, which have been produced all with expert input, and they've been developed over the years. We are constantly revising them, constantly taking feedback, and they really are an invaluable and indispensable tool to professionals' practice. They are highly practicable, and they're not abstract theoretical tools, and they're designed really for use. And I am constantly approached by members saying, how many more can you produce? We always want to produce more because everyone finds them so useful. I particularly have found useful in the past the guidelines in relation to costs, because that can get so complicated at the end of the award and really can take up some time. And there've been answers that I have found immediately in those guidelines, so that's really helped. You know, they don't just relate to arbitration. We've got them across all 3 disciplines. We have just revised the set of guidelines for adjudication. We're in the process of revising the guidelines for mediation. And as I say, there's a great set for arbitration as well. In fact, we've recently been, as you know, recognised for a GAR award for the witness conference and guidelines that were produced by a subcommittee of the CIArb Singapore branch. So that was really high recognition, and you know, just shows the innovation that CIArb is producing.
Absolutely, I think that was a real achievement, and something for us all to be really proud of, and particularly the committee responsible for drafting that. That was fantastic. I think just on that question of innovation, I want to also move on to some of the issues that we face as we look ahead over the coming years. Now, I think our strength as an institution, now 105 years old, has always been our ability to be at the forefront of change and to adapt and to shape developments in the profession. I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit, you know, in a kind of thumbnail sketch, about how we plan to do that in the coming years, particularly with respect to our equality, diversity and inclusion work.
Obviously, we're working in strange times, because I don't think there's ever been a need to adapt your business and your practice quite as much as what the last 3 months or more has produced for all of us. And we're really keeping in touch with our membership. Again, all the feedback we can have, we welcome, about how your practice is being affected by COVID and how we can help to innovate. But some of the feedback that I'm already receiving is that at this time, innovating your practice involves looking at ADR as not one standalone mechanism, and just involving an arbitration clause or a mediation clause in your contract. You need to look around giving advice around all sorts of ADR mechanisms, and in particular putting in hybrid dispute resolution clauses. And we'd also suggest at this time to upskill. So potentially, if you're an arbitrator with interest in mediation, our mediation course has now gone online. And so there's more access to our mediation course to everyone around the world now. And I think it's a good time for arbitrators to look to upskill potentially as mediators, and the same mediators can look to become arbitrators. And I think thereby you're offering potentially a better service to clients and customers. One of the other things we are doing is to try and help the profession is to encourage more non-lawyers to get involved in ADR. And this, and again, is in response to feedback that we've had from users, in that they really want a commercial approach, and that CIArb feel that that commercial approach comes from also getting, as co-arbitrators or co-mediators, specialist knowledge, non-legal knowledge. So we're really encouraging non-lawyers who have technical expertise that users want to train on our courses and to become members. And what we're seeing, I've been doing quite a bit of work with the Singapore International Mediation Centre, and they are keen to try and get more co-mediators who are non-lawyers, and for them to shadow mediations as co-mediators and potentially in the future run the mediations themselves. I also wanted to comment that at this time, you know, there's less opportunity for us all, obviously, to get around about and network, which is a real shame, because I know for members that is a lot of the reason why they join up to CIArb, and they're less able to really network and grow their global community. But we do have the ability online, my CIArb membership directory. You can raise your profile, and if you select to do so, you can make that publicly available. So I would really encourage members to do that, so you can get the word out that you're a CIArb member and what your expertise are. And similarly, you know, at this time, being able to demonstrate that you're part of CIArb to someone who may not have met you before and won't have the ability to have a face-to-face meeting with you, it's a real demonstration of your professionalism. And you did also mention about the EDI work that we're doing. We really, you know, we're really going through a period of time where equality, diversity, inclusion is more important than it ever has been before. We've already been doing work around this for some time, but we are developing a new strategy at the moment, which is really providing practical measures to enact that commitment to EDI that CIArb have. We want to give people with who have less opportunities, better exposure, and more chances to get out there. And we're looking at ways to do so, and we hope to be able to announce these in 20 and 21.
Excellent, thank you, Camilla. I think it's a really exciting time, speaking for myself, and I'm sure you agree as well. It's a really exciting time to be a part of the Institute and some of the work that we're doing at the moment. So it's looking ahead over the next few years. I think we're going to see some really big developments and examples of us really leading the way. Well, I think as we draw to the end of the conversation, I always try and give our guests in each episode the opportunity to have a kind of final word. And I wondered if there was one thing that you wanted our viewers to take away from this discussion, what that might be. What would be your kind of summary?
I just really want our members and people who are thinking about becoming members to be aware that the policy work that CIArb does really is an integral part of the value of your membership. And please get involved. Please look on our website for some of our latest initiatives. You know, it's your membership really shows your commitment to upholding the rule of law and an access to justice. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Camilla, and I think I would also want to echo that. Please do contact the Institute, look on our website, and get involved, because it's the membership that makes our engagement work, and we want you to be an integral part of that. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Camilla. I've really enjoyed that discussion, and I know I'm really looking forward to, I think when we cover a lot of the different projects that we're working on, it's in one go. It's a reminder of just how much is happening at the moment. So I'm very excited to continue working on a lot of those with you. So thank you for joining us, and thank you very much. Okay, bye.